Standing at 7'1" with a 7'9" wingspan, Rudy Gobert is a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, tied for third most in NBA history. Love him or hate him, he's been an elite defender in the NBA for the bigger part of the past decade. Not to mention, he's a 6-time All-Defensive First Team member and 3-time NBA All-Star. He's had a long road coming from France to reach success in the NBA. But his rise saw a major downfall as he failed to lead the Jazz to a successful playoff run. Things simply didn't work out in Salt Lake City, and after 9 seasons, the Jazz traded him to Minnesota, where their Frenchman is rising again. Let's take a look at the rise, fall, and rise again of Rudy Gobert. Gobert was born in Saint Quentin in France and started playing basketball at the age of 11. He made his professional debut for Cholet basketball at the age of 18, playing only 1 game for the senior squad in the 2010-11 season. In the following season, he averaged 4.2 points and 3.6 rebounds per game in 29 games, and in the 2012-13 season, he had 8.4 points and 5.4 rebounds per game in 27 games. His numbers weren't anything crazy, but in an era still dominated by big men, his length caught NBA scouts' eyes overseas. And so, being one of the biggest international prospects, Gobert declared for the 2013 NBA draft.
With the 27th pick in the 2013 NBA draft, the Denver Nuggets select Rudy Gobert from Saint-Quentin, France. He last played for Cholet in the French League.
The Utah Jazz drafted him 27th overall. As expected, he had a slow start as a rookie, playing behind starting big men Derek Favors and Enes Kanter. He even spent some time with the Jazz affiliate, the Bakersfield Jam of the NBA Development League. But in his sophomore season, Gobert started to show his true potential. He recorded 15 points and a career-high 24 rebounds in a 93-82 win over the Memphis Grizzlies. His 24 rebounds were 3 short of the Jazz franchise record of 27 set by Truck Robinson. Gobert would go on to average 8.4 points, 9.5 rebounds, and 2.3 blocks, finishing 3rd in the most improved player voting behind Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green that season. Then, in the 2015-16 season, his 3rd in the league, Gobert became a starter for the Jazz, averaging 9.1 points and 11 rebounds per game. But with his potential and skill rising, Gobert's luck slightly dipped. He missed 21 games with a sprained MCL, which took a big toll on his performance that year. But the Utah Jazz saw enough already of Rudy to make a commitment. The sprain wasn't too serious, and the Jazz saw a cornerstone for the future in Gobert. They signed the center to a 4-year, $102 million contract extension, which at the time made him the best paid French athlete ever when it came to an annual salary. That was a huge boost for Rudy as he took his game to another level. The upcoming season became Rudy Gobert's breakout season. He set a franchise-best 25 consecutive games with 10-plus rebounds, and later became the 4th player since 1997 to have 30 straight games with double figures in rebounding. In January 2017, Gobert recorded career highs of 27 points and 25 rebounds in a 112-107 overtime win over the Dallas Mavericks. And in March that year, he scored a career-high 35 points and grabbed 13 rebounds in a 108-101 win over the New York Knicks. He was named to the All-NBA Second Team and the All-Defensive First Team. He averaged a double-double of 14 points and 12.8 rebounds per game, and led the league with 2.6 blocks per game. Gobert's breakout campaign also came at the perfect timing in hindsight. That offseason, the Jazz would draft a future superstar that would make an immediate impact on the league.
With the 13th pick in the 2017 NBA Draft, the Denver Nuggets select Donovan Mitchell from the University of Louisville.
The Jazz traded for Donovan Mitchell, who was drafted 13th overall by the Denver Nuggets. At first, Mitchell and Gobert seemed like the perfect match. With a great head coach in Quinn Snyder, the team was starting to become a true contender, at least on paper. But in the following years, Donovan and Rudy's relationship had many ups and downs, eventually leading to the breakdown of the Jazz roster. During the 2017-18 season, Gobert suffered a sprained posterior cruciate ligament in his left knee and a bone bruise which forced him to miss 26 games in total. He had a crazy season, recording a double-double in 31 of his 56 appearances. He averaged 13.5 points, 10.7 rebounds, and 2.3 blocks per game, earning his first Defensive Player of the Year award. He was the first Jazz player to win the award since Mark Eaton earned the honor in 1989. Also, he was the 12th center, the 5th international player, and the 2nd Frenchman to win the award after Joakim Noah did in 2014. I'm not gonna lie, after all the research I've done for this video, I have to hand Gobert his flowers. He came here overseas to make an impact, and he definitely has. In the first playoff round that that season, the Jazz defeated the Oklahoma City Thunder 4-2, but lost in the second round to the Houston Rockets. But despite another failed playoff run, Rudy Gobert continued to get better. The next season, the 2018-19 season, was Gobert's best when it came to individual stats. He averaged a career-high 15.9 points, adding 12.9 rebounds and 2.3 blocks per game in 81 appearances. He was named the NBA's Defensive Player of the Year for the second season in a row, and also was named the French Player of the Year for 2019. But again, the season ended in another disappointing early playoff exit, as the Jazz only won one game in the first round series against the Rockets. Despite being labeled as the best defender in the league, Gobert had to wait until the 2019-20 season to make his first All-Star appearance. He averaged 15.7 points, 14.6 rebounds per game until the All-Star weekend break, where he was named to the Western Conference team with his teammate Donovan Mitchell. But just as Rudy's performance came at an all-time high, COVID was introduced to the world and everything changed.
The game tonight has been postponed. You are all safe.
On March 11, 2020, the game between the Utah Jazz and the Oklahoma City Thunder was postponed right before tip-off after Gobert was placed on the injury list due to illness. He was taken to a local hospital and tested positive for the COVID-19 virus, becoming the first NBA player with a positive test. After the news broke out, the NBA suspended the season indefinitely. What made things even worse for Gobert, only 2 days earlier, Gobert had jokingly touched every microphone and recorder at a press conference concerning the Utah Jazz's response to the virus. He found it funny at the moment, but that put him under a lot of pressure after many of his teammates tested positive in the following days. Gobert apologized, saying his actions were careless, exposing others to the disease, and that he hopes his story serves as a warning to others to take the virus seriously. He tried to make up for what was done by donating $500K to helping people affected by COVID-19, including part-time employees and COVID-related services. However, Donovan Mitchell did not buy that, and from that point on, his relationship with Gobert fell apart, which was the beginning of the end for the Jazz team. When the season continued, the Jazz played pretty well in the bubble nonetheless. They took a 3-1 series lead against the Denver Nuggets in the first round, but then lost 3 straight games for another playoff disaster. Despite the loss, the Jazz, in the offseason, signed Gobert to a 5-year, $205 million contract extension, which was the third largest contract in NBA history and the largest ever for a center. He earned his second consecutive All-Star selection and finished the season with an average of 14.3 points, 13.5 rebounds, and a career-high 2.7 blocks per game. He led the league with 67.5% shooting from the field and won his third NBA Defensive Player of the Year award, becoming the 4th player in NBA history after Dikembe Mutombo, Ben Wallace, and Dwight Howard to win 3 such awards. That season, the Jazz finished with the best record in the league with 52 wins and 20 losses. It seemed like they had finally grown into a real contender in the West. Fast forward to the 2021 playoffs, they won 4 straight games against the Memphis Grizzlies to come out of the opening round for the first time in 3 years. They started strong against the LA Clippers, taking a 2-0 lead, but lost 4 straight for another disappointing exit. After multiple playoff failures in a row, all eyes were on what they thought was a great Jazz team. Despite being a great regular season team, they just weren't winning games when it mattered in the playoffs. In the 21-22 season, the rumors started to intensify that Gobert may be traded away. He handled the pressure well, averaging 15.6 points per game and a career-high 14.7 rebounds to lead the league. The Jazz finished 5th in the West with a 49-33 record, but lost to the Dallas Mavericks in the first playoff round by 4-2. With yet another failed playoff run, this was the last straw for the Jazz's front office. Instead of choosing between Mitchell and Gobert, the Jazz organization decided to break up the team entirely.
We have a breaking news alert here, a trade in the NBA. The Utah Jazz are sending Rudy Gobert to the Minnesota Timberwolves. And Donovan Mitchell has been traded. The 3-time All-Star is heading to Cleveland, where the Cavs now appear to be loaded.
The Frenchman was traded to the Minnesota Timberwolves for Patrick Beverley, Malik Beasley, Jared Vanderbilt, Leandro Bolmaro, and the draft rights to center Walker Kessler, in addition to 4 first-round picks and a 2026 first-round pick swap. A month and a half later, Mitchell was traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers for Lauri Markkanen, Colin Sexton, 3 first-round picks, and 2 pick swaps. People were unsure how Gobert would fit with All-Star Karl Anthony Towns, but that move would eventually work well for both of them in Minnesota. Towns could move to the power forward spot and have more outside shots that he prefers to take. On the other hand, Gobert can do his thing on the defensive end with less demands on the offense. In his debut season with the Timberwolves, Gobert had 2 20-20 games, totaling 9 in his career. Things took a bad turn near the end of the season though, as Gobert was involved in an altercation with teammate Kyle Anderson that got him suspended for the first play-in tournament game against the Los Angeles Lakers. The Wolves were so close to winning winning that one, but lost to the Lakers 108-102 in overtime. Gobert returned to the winner-go-home game and recorded 21 points, 10 rebounds in the Wolves' 120-95 win over the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Wolves made it to the playoffs and were able to steal only one game in the series against the Denver Nuggets. Gobert finished the season averaging 11.9 points, 12.8 rebounds, and 2.3 blocks per game. Despite the loss, there was no doubt that the Wolves are one of the uprising teams in the league. That has a lot to do with Gobert, Cat, and Anthony Edwards. And with the rise of Anthony Edwards, this team is looking scary. Rudy has become an experienced player and does much more than the stats show. He has a commanding presence around the rim on the defensive end. The Wolves have a roster that allows Gobert to take care of the defensive end, while players like Anthony Edwards and Cat are in charge of the offense. Many would say that Gobert is limited on the offensive end, which is true to a certain point, but the Frenchman knows which shots to take and is efficient for the Wolves. He's been passing more too, as Cat has been cutting to the basket, and Anthony Edwards is continuing to blossom. This is Gobert's 8th consecutive season averaging a double-double, and with him playing consistently on that level, the Wolves may be the team that will make a lot of noise this season. What are your thoughts on Rudy Gobert? Would love your thoughts in the comments below. For me, it was easy to criticize Rudy Gobert for his lack of offensive abilities, but after doing much research in this video, I can definitely say that Rudy Gobert has become a nice defensive anchor that any NBA team would want on their roster. I would love if you can leave a like on this video. Thank you for watching and have an amazing day.